Welcome to Hilarity by Default's weekly BRISCO County Jr. reviews, starring the daunting chin of Bruce Campbell, deadly stampedes, Swedish ass kickers, and a proper murderous statesman. BRISCO County Jr. episode 10 has it all, and more, with Briscoe discovering that sometimes you can't really ever go home again, as the figurative this time specter of his father's death plagues his hometown. Going into this in our short pre-production meeting, I gathered that Kyle was kind of in the same spot as I was in still trying to evaluate this episode. What is it about Showdown that's giving you a mental showdown?
I like what you're doing there. There's some things that don't Lando quite as much as you'd like, but there were certainly some things that were definitely on Brando instead. Like, first of all, can we just talk about, I'm really having a hard time deciding about if this is my favorite opening scene over the poker game. I might have to hand it to this week's on a technicality because it's actually, related to the damn plot. But first of all, there's something about Bowler when they team up that's always a great thing. That's probably why this show works so well.
Which one you want?
All of them.
Bowler doesn't do anything, but of course he lands the
fireball
scene for everybody. Bowler for president.
I'll tell you this much: the poker scene was a fantastic little vignette. This, on the other hand, as you mentioned, plays into the plot. Actually, one of my favorite aspects of this opening, and it's such a subtle blink and you'll miss it moment, is that the camera actually cuts to Briscoe and Bowler momentarily just standing there watching the whole thing. It's the first time you see them in the episode, and then it cuts back to all the shiz that's going down, and then it cuts back and he's like, which one you want? I kind of like that moment. It's kind of like, oh, they're there. We know what's going to happen. Briscoe's going to be mad. I think it's a little unfair to compare them because you have like one that's a comedy character set piece, and this one is all over the place with lots of action, and it sets up the dramatic stakes that the entire plot hinges on right then and there. It's a very strong opening. In fact, I would even argue that the entire beginning of this episode and the ending of the episode, very snappy, very quick-paced. It's the middle that just sags. Lots of padding, donuts, couple therapy. Listen, man, having like one comedy scene thrown in there for padding that has something that has nothing to do with the plot, I'm okay. I actually freaking welcome it. I understand why it's there because a lot of the other stuff that's going down is very heavy. I'm
glad you brought that too. I'm going to transition it right to this point. We've had the best Briscoe County Jr. is angry and he's going to F your stuff up scene in the entire damn series so far. Like if there's going to be an angry Briscoe moments breakdown or a top 5, not that we're doing that, but if we were to do that, this has to be where the bar is set if you want to make that list. Like I sure we're still, we still got 17 more episodes to go, but I don't see many moments hurdling themselves over the bar. That is the scene where he checks the current sheriff, aka Briscoe Sr.'s deputy.
You were the sheriff. You held this town together.
I'm still holding it together.
Like the hell you are. You're a drunk. If my father were still alive, he'd be ashamed to ride with you. And so am I.
I'm even watching it, and get your sensors ready, Demos. I'm even watching. I'm like,
yuck, tobacco.
Like I needed therapy, and I just watched that. I have to have a drink here because of the experience. But
damn it, Kyle, you're drunk. I'm ashamed to be streaming with you. So I understand why they wanted to add a couple of comedic moments, Dunkin' Donuts, etc. The couples therapy, and mind you, those are Bowler moments, and those are funny. They work.
I really like the exchange that Bowler had with the little kid, and he's
Duncan,
like,
yes,
Duncan, and he's like, yeah, Briscoe's awesome. You ain't
cheese
yet, but and the fact that they did not use him again in the episode, I was like, oh. But I like Duncan, So
well, that's what I mean. He just shows up for this one scene. I mean, the only follow up is later he has a tray of what can be assumed to be donuts, but you don't really see what's underneath them. But
well, and here's the thing. I mean, if you're trying to endear Lord Bowler, I get it. But didn't we just have this cat a number episode back, I believe in episode 2, singing Amazing Grace like an angel? I think we're good on Bowler having a human side. I'm just saying.
with that being said, I think that they finally, over the last few episodes especially, they finally figured out how to use Bowler very effectively for comedic scenes. If you remember the first couple of episodes, the pilot, Socrates' sister, they try to make him kind of a bumbling, kind of Wile E. Coyote type. He gets knocked out in one punch. And then they start switching him, like, okay, we'll make him cynical, we'll make him like a real badass, and we'll derive the humor from that. We're gonna put the badass in the situation where he has to give couples therapy.
So I mean, listen, I understand what you're introducing there with the fact of basically setting Bowler up as Wild West Worf, but
that actually lands his punches, prior to Deep Space Brisco.
Deep Space Brisco. You didn't just do that. Anyways, no, actually, it's quite literally Brisco the Next Generation.
Really? That's a good point.
What can us? Oh wait, wrong series. Anyway,
I really did. I mean, if we're talking about funny Lord Bowler moments, I think the massage scene, which hint does not feature a happy ending, was the best Bowler scene in the episode.
You'd play some more of that four stuff on my neck here. It's mighty tight.
How's that? Feel better?
The whole exchange and the way that Bowler just grabs the guy by the neck, it's really funny.
Because we've gotten the setup that we have from Bowler, you realize that he could have the soft touch to be able to massage another man, and he realizes he's man enough to do it, so long as there's an ass kicking at the end of it.
I would even venture to say that this is the first true episode where from beginning to end, they're equal partners. And they just work together very, very well.
No, that's absolutely true. The chemistry is developed.
Essentially, you have 3 different subplots. 4 different plots. But they unlike some of the previous episodes where you have a lot of different elements at play, everything weaves in together much, much better in this. Which makes some of the... they're just for the sake of comedy bits just stand out a little bit more, because it is a very well constructed episode for the most part. I love the Brisco and Annie relationship in here. It's very sweet. It feels very genuine. In fact, this episode sets up a lot of would-be cliches and just adds a little bit of twists, or in the Brisco and Annie relationship, it's just played a little bit more straightforward. Like, yeah, we know we could do all this stuff, but we're just going to make this sweet, romantic, and genuine. We're going to make them true partners. The other twist being, okay, you have the sheriff. He's the drunk. What would you expect in any, and they do this to a small degree, but what would you expect in any storyline with this, right? He's gonna sober up, and he's gonna stand up. He's gonna have his real badass moment. He's gonna have his redemption. He gets stabbed in the back. Who the hell saw that coming?
So I'm gonna be blunt about it. Like, they should not have boned if they were trying to land what they were trying to land. I feel like that took away from it. And as a matter of fact, I'll see that and raise
Maybe he saw the coming thing.
That would be Dixie that sees that sort of coming thing, but I digress. I think it's a real missed opportunity in the shape of, like, just in that moment where they were gonna, Dad walks in and like, and of course I love friggin' Bruce Campbell. Sir, that was awesome. And then they realized he's stabbed in the back, and that is the total thing that in place. That's the C block there. That was perfect to tell the audience, hey, these two wanna, but him walking in being like familyhood is why they don't.
They totally had relations in the perfectly set up lake with the steam rising and everything.
And it was late.
That was kind of... I like the conversation, and I like the idea of the setting.
Ooh, Bruce Campbell has chemistry with a hot chick. That's never happened before. Get off me, Demo.
He definitely got some sugar, baby, but nevertheless... It almost felt like a romance novella. But I liked the conversation. I even liked the specter of Briscoe Sr.'s death and how it affects this whole plot, how it affects his hometown. They're dealing with the repercussions here in a serious way that I actually did really dig.
The tempo of this episode was great. I really liked how the ending went, where, you knew the guy that the sheriff was definitely going to get his badge back by the end, but they did it in such a fashion to where I bought it,
I don't know. I have very, very few bad marks on this. In fact, for the first time, I actually had to open up an okay category. Things I didn't really love, things I didn't really hate. But if there's one thing I am going to put in the bad category, which I feel bad about. I feel kind of guilty about because I loved the whole buildup. I loved the deal with the alcoholic sheriff and what truly haunts him, what has driven him here. I thought it was very well acted. I thought it was very well presented, and it led to that incredible Briscoe moment.
Yeah.
However, this guy has the quickest alcoholic and knife wound recovery in medical history.
Well, they did kind of skirt around that. I got lucky it wasn't all that bad. I got news for you, Chief. It looked a lot worse. Let's put it this way. That could have been done in such a fashion, but they put the knife where it did for dramatic effect. And so anyways, but
it's the alcohol that metabolized in his system.
And he exorcised the alcohol demons from his system.
It's like thank you for smoking, where smoking saved his life when they tried to kill him with the patches.
That was so great. God, why haven't we done a required viewing on that movie yet? Anyway,
you have to wait a few years before it hits 20.
Uh-oh. I guess we'll just have to keep doing this show.
One of the best scenes in this episode is during the exchange, and you have Briscoe standing there, the two prisoners walking towards each other, and then you have Bowler taking out all the snipers one by one.
Gotcha, bitch! Gotcha, bitch!
That was really great. On the other hand, Utah Johnny, formerly Cougar Montana from Idaho, anticlimax, I wasn't a big fan of.
Well,
the episode is called Showdown, for God's sake. This is the big showdown at the end. Exploding gun, good. Defeat, weak. Overall, to put that at the end as the cap to the episode, I thought was a little weak. It doesn't kill the episode for me. I just thought that it was a little weak, and in many cases, I kind of feel that it was there for the effect of the gun exploding, which is kind of cool and plausible, kind of cool. In my mind, the true showdown in this episode is between Briscoe and Alcoholic Dad. I will say that although I thought that the setup for this was a little goofy, the stampede scene specifically, them getting roped in that way, I thought it was kind of goofy, but the close-up stunts underneath the carriage were sufficiently dangerous looking.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I'm glad you brought that up. I was a complete sell on that, dangerous moment until you mentioned the under the carriage part. Yes, absolutely. So one section of the episode is called Number One with a Bullet. So like that song, in case you don't remember, Loaded Gun Complex, Cock It and Pull It. So it flashes Number One with a Bullet. And in order to save everybody with the whole stunt underneath the carriage and all that, Bowler has to come in and cock it and pull it with a shotgun. I don't know if that was done on purpose, but I did pick up on that.
I think it was. I mean, you have to remember that all those chapter titles, and one of the things I really enjoy about Briscoe County is that those chapter titles are just full of puns. They're hilarious by default, and I enjoy it for it. And Briscoe County, a series as a whole, makes a lot of music, pop culture references. I think that you yourself said that before, one of the only tiny exposures that you ever had to this series was Led Zeppelin.
That's right. The one clip I seen was mentioning puns around Led Zeppelin. That's true.
And over here we have John Cougar, but you got rid of the Cougar because it was too pretentious.
Yes. And
a later episode, we're going to have an Elvis, a very major Elvis reference, and not from the person you'd expect.
It's not a bad episode by any stretch. It's not going to be the best episode, but I'm going to put it in a place where I'm going to give it 4 comments.
I think that Showdown is a strong, yet somewhat flawed, pure Western entry in the BRISCO series. I think it's a overall solid episode. It's definitely, like I said, it's definitely flawed. It definitely has a few cracks. The typically more dramatic moments for Bruce Campbell in this, and the true partnership between Briscoe and Bowler in this episode.
Yes.
Those 2 elements are enough for me to grant this a 4 instead of a 3. So join us every week as we cover all 27 episodes of The Adventures of Brisco County Jr. We invite you to watch along and let us know in the comments below what your thoughts are on each episode, and make sure to like and subscribe for more fun on Hilarity by Default.